right. Black Box
Hey.
Radio. Ooh, I've been so excited. Ooh, I like that. Arden Santana. I didn't even see that. But anyway, good evening, everyone. Welcome to the box. I'm Queen. I'm a host here. We are Black Box Radio is a multimedia platform illustrating Black excellence. We platform Black people, we expose Black genius, and more than anything, we disseminate information to our community and to other communities. The goal of what we do daily is to have an authentic space for Black faces. That's what we do. We do it 6 to 9 times a month. We ask everyone, I'm going to say this about 4 times tonight, like, share, subscribe. I'm going to need you to, let me say that again. I'm going to need you guys to like what we do, share what we do, and then subscribe. Listen, we're trying to build this YouTube channel, authentic space, grassroots content, and we're talking about a little something. There's no buffoonery. We love that too, but this is all love. We need a place where we can really communicate authentically. So I need you guys to tap in, subscribe, comment. Please become a Black boxer. That's what I'm talking about. Become a Black boxer. And then after you do that, if you want to talk to us, we're at blackboxradio@gmail.com. And also I'm telling you, we have a fire website. We just revamped it. I want you to check it out. It's blackboxradio.com. Yes, just blackboxradio.com. We got merch on there. You can have Black Box on your chest, baby. Go check it out. Leave us a comment there. We also have a newsletter. I need you to subscribe to that. So I need you guys just to like, share, subscribe. That's just it. All day, every day. So I want to kind of introduce you to what we're doing. We are in the Black Women History Month. So nationally in the States, this is Women History Month. But in Black Box Radio, we black up everything. We got to black everything up. So we got to love on Black women. And I'm a little biased. I don't know if you know yet, but I am a Black woman. So I'm just a little biased. I love Black women. And sitting over here, I just want you guys to know, just to see the genius, to see the amazingness of Black women. I tell you, we the standard. It is not because I'm a part of the tribe. It's because it is what it is. And so I'm so blessed to be a Black woman. And it's such a blessing to be in space with a Black woman where we can speak and communicate and we're going to create this sister circle. And guess who we got? We got a sister fire. So today I want to introduce you guys to Arden Santana. Say hi to the people.
Hello, people. Hi to the people. Power to the people. Thank you so much for having me on. I mean, I'm here for it. The authenticity of dialogue, Black women, being just given a space and a platform. I appreciate being here. Thank you so much for having me.
And I appreciate having you. You are 7 to 10, so I got 10 great Black women. That's just amazing. It's like every week I'm able to sit in space with a Black woman. And we had 3 the first week, we had 3 the second week, and now we have 2 this week, and then we have 2 next week. So every week in March, we stump it with Black women, and it's just a beautiful thing. And so, but this is your night. And we about to talk to you. I'm telling you, I've been walking you down for a minute. So let me be transparent. Like, I've been wanting to get to this lady. This is not a lie. This is the truth. We talked before.
Right, because it's been over a year.
Right. It's been over a year. We talked before. I said, I wanted you to come on. I wanted you to talk about what you was doing. Then I didn't. I thought I had your number. I didn't have your number. I tried to hit you and try to get you on Facebook. I said, I'm going to have to walk her down. So I had to call Miss Lisa. Miss Lisa will find you, baby.
Shout out.
Shout out to Miss
leading the way. Shout out, Lisa. Thank you so much for all your continuous support since day one.
Day one. And so I am so glad to have you and hear what you're doing. So the blessings is, I'm in Baltimore. We're based in Baltimore. Right now I'm in the South Carolina studios, but we're based in Baltimore, as you guys know. But she lives in New Haven, Connecticut. So we're going to get a whole nother move tonight. So I love that. But you're from the Maryland area, are you?
Actually, no, I'm from New Haven, but I lived in New for 8 of the best years of my life. I attended Howard University the first year of college, and I knew the morning I stepped out of the car at Bob Big Boys, they say your soul knows its home when your feet touch the soil. And I got out of the car and I said, I'm going to live here. And I completed 1 year at Howard, came back home, and about maybe 7 years later, I ended up moving down and lived in Prince George's County for 7 years.
Wow.
No, 8.
Okay.
I was in the area for 8 years before going to other parts of the state of the country. But yeah, originally born and raised in, but Maryland is
Oh,
it
so
feels
you're
like
home.
home.
Yeah,
It
you're
feels like
home.
home.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
but you spent some time in our parts. HU. I'm
yeah.
gonna give you a shout out for HBCUs for life. I'm a Morgan
Absolutely.
grad, so I definitely love HBCUs, and anyone who stepped their foot on it changes your life, baby.
It
It
absolutely
definitely
does.
absolutely changes your life. I never ever say that. So I want you to first. You just said where you're from, but I want people to know a little bit about you. So just tell us a little bit. You're from New Haven. Tell us a little bit about what you've done, and then we're gonna jump in.
A little bit about what I've done. So
About you and
about
what you
me
do.
and what
Yes.
I'm an educator. I think a born educator. People say they've had a calling. Literally have experienced that. You're looking at a woman who, as a child, when she played school. I had a couple dolls and that sort of thing, but I played school and I played administrator. And my grandmother, she had a side gig where she cleaned banks and law offices. And the trash would sometimes be the administrative, phones and ledgers and calculators and things like that. And I'd
Wow.
be like, "Hey, can I have them?" So I've been an educator and administrator probably not even my whole career. So if it
Mhm.
wasn't in the classroom, it was always in the educational industry. So my first real job was actually back at the high school I attended in New Haven, Career High School. Um, and then from there, I've always been involved in education. So my calling came in Prince George's County, Maryland. It was during the time we had the first teacher shortage, and
Mhm.
they were asking for people to come out of corporate into the classroom because we were having a teacher shortage. And
Hmm.
I was at the National Alliance of Black School Educators at the time in DC, as a foundation specialist, and executive director initially. So I was there. And the call and the teach came, ended up at Prince George's County, Maryland Public Schools. Did a year and I say did a year because I call myself a Republican, I mean, a recovering public school teacher.
Okay.
Um, so I did 1 year at a charter school in Southeast DC, Southwest Collegiate. It's Friendship Collegiate if they're still around.
Mhm.
I was there for a bit, and then I came back home. Did the mother thing. Um, the mother thing meant staying home, but staying home meant I wasn't making my own money and having my own financial autonomy. So I said I need to get back into that, and the balance
Yes.
with that was opening a daycare,
Hmm.
and I should say early child learning center because my daycare wasn't just send your kid and they sit around and looking crazy all day in front of the TV. It was intentional about wanting to prepare them to be able to jump into the next phase, whatever situation kindergarten was going to be for them, homeschool, traditional,
Mhm.
they would be prepared to enter that space, leaving rutabaga's care and learning place at the time. So from
What's the
there,
name? Wait a minute. What's the name?
rutabaga, rutabaga,
Rutabaga. I love
and
it.
it was ROOT. A play. My grandmother loved rutabagas, turnips. She loved turnips. So
Yeah,
that
I
was
know
where
about rutabagas. So I
uh-huh,
was like, I love that name though.
yeah.
Wow,
So that's where
rutabagas.
that name came from. And we did that for a little bit. That allowed me to, stay in education, continue to, be around my children, which was important until they could talk and tell me whatever was going on wherever I sent them.
True.
And then I went through, the whole transition of a first marriage, and now I'm a mom outside of. I was in a place where I had to now figure out who am I outside of wife and mother. So that meant
Yes.
going back to work, figuring out that, gaining my autonomy and identity back. And
Mhm.
my girls had to go to school. So I sent
Yep.
them to an independent school. And then,
Mm.
shift and change came again. But I always knew outside of that, I would homeschool
Hmm.
them. And
Okay.
then Sage was born organically and in response to pre-COVID. Sage came about pre-COVID, um,
Okay.
but it was right and ready for when everybody now was home, schools closed, we need a
Yes.
place to be. Like I'm trying to give the quick rundown. You could get into
You was
whatever
ready.
aspects
You was ready when everything broke down. You was ready
with
and
everything.
running. That's beautiful. Wow.
So that
Wow.
started virtually. We were
Okay.
virtual at the time, And
Okay.
then fast forward about 3 or 4 years ago now, I come back home and Sage opens up literally into eventually a brick and mortar. And
Hmm.
my response to that was that I'm home. I'm back in the place that raised me, educated me, and I'm here to be able to give this back to my community. And I believe that's why it thrived, the way it did, because it had to be given back to the place that I was educated and raised. Um, so and that's still, it's a hybrid to certain extents. I actually still work with Lisa. She's still in Maryland, but when a civic class is needed, I'm the first person she calls typically.
Oh.
Or some at times. I can't say the first because she has other resources, but I've always
Mhm.
remained, on her top three, I believe. So
Mhm.
really great for that resource in her. And then outside of that, the whole community architect, culture curator comes out of the work I do in my community around community economic development and restoring indigenous and our cultural indigenous values within the Black community. What's been lost and why
Yes.
we're wayward because we're not practicing Sankofa. We're not going back to to learn and study and figure out who were we before all the stuff.
Yes. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
um, that is that's the work through my organization, well, my collective, the elements of abundance. I am fire of the elements of abundance, and our work is international in scope, and that's the whole connectivity, culture curation, community building, in that regard. And then I am most recently found a nonprofit, a co-founder. So through that work,
Okay.
we're able to, drive the community economic development work through that. And all things just come together. I rest in the fact, outside of the imposter syndrome that likes to creep in sometimes, I'm
Yeah.
constantly reminded by other Black women who do see me and recognize, the space that we're in. Right when it's rearing up, it's flaring up. A sister will come in and just remind me, Arden, stay your course.
Yeah.
Just really amazing women, I have to say, in my network, and sometimes I don't even know they're a part of my network, but they
And that's
just come
so
up timely and just remind you of that. So
that's beautiful.
yeah.
Like you're talking about the grounding of Black women and how we ground each other in so many
Hmm.
ways. A lot of spaces we're not appreciated, but we know each other's path. And so a
That's
lot
right.
of times we come around each other, it's like a grounding, it really feels good. It's like a club that's not a club. You know what I'm saying? So I know you are pausing. You
Yeah.
there? Okay,
Yeah.
okay, because you're going in and
Technical
out. There you go. There you go.
Yeah.
There you go. So, so
uh,
Black women, we tend to do that for each other. And I love that. I love that you just said that. Like a Black woman comes in and says, like, Arden, stay here. Keep doing it. Keep going.
yeah.
You
Yeah.
know?
And even when
Yeah.
when it's challenging, those things that make you, especially as an entrepreneur, you get into spaces where it's
Right.
like, what? Why am I doing this? Why am I here? Is it time to,
Yes.
am I bleeding enough yet to cut the bleed and all those
Say that
types of
every
things?
day.
But
Every
something
day.
presents though, right? But something or
Right.
someone presents that says, nope, you are
Yep.
right here doing what it is that you are destined to do. Um, so I lost my
Exactly.
train of thought. So that probably tells me to get off that imposter syndrome narrative, because that just
Yeah,
threw
get
me
off of
off.
that. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
that just,
It throws you off. No, get off the It's no imposter syndrome. You are the syndrome. So get out of
okay.
that. And a lot and I understand that's a trauma that we fall into our trauma because we've been traumatized. So you fall into that,
Mm,
but there's no imposter syndrome. We're really the standard, unfortunately. We just don't know it. And
we just
so
don't know it.
we just don't know it. And so everyone is looking to us and what we're doing, and we're looking
Right.
at what someone else is doing.
And we should be.
When we should be just trying to keep creating. We create and do things so effortlessly. I think sometimes it's just like when you give a child too much food,
Hmm.
they just think they can eat anytime. And so I
Right.
think that's what Black people is. We're so creative. We're so
Hmm.
blessed. We're so talented
Hmm.
in so many realms that we take it for granted.
Hmm.
And I think Black women too is like, they say we're aggressive. No, we just do our thing. And it seems aggressive because you can't handle it. That's on
Mm.
you.
Right, 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 right. I can't
That's
make I
on you.
can't make myself uncomfortable to make you uncomfortable. Another lesson
Exactly.
I'm one of those. I would dim my light because I see it so many people around me. You're traumatized, you're wounded, you're
Yep.
insecure, you're intimidated. I will
Yep.
fall back real easily to let to just because that's not what I'm here for. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So
Yep. Yep.
I can dim my light to help you be comfortable, but I realize I'm not doing any. That's a disservice.
It
Disservice.
is a I do it too, but I think a lot of times we do it so people can be comfortable or make others comfortable.
Right.
And sometimes it's needed, but sometimes I think we have to keep our light, let it shine. But the dimming of the light happens because you want folks to
Mhm.
feel seen. You want them to,
Right.
yeah. But I think that's a leader. A leader knows when to dim and when to shine.
Ooh.
Ooh, I think I dropped the ball.
I think she did.
That was a bar. So yeah, I
Yeah.
think that's what it is we know when to dim and you know when to shine. And a lot of times when you're around some people, you do dim it to give them space
The
so they
space
can
so
be
that lead. That's
yeah.
right.
And it's
Mhm.
important too. So sometimes I think that's really important. What do you think about that?
I agree. I agree. It is. It's the balance of it. It's. I think
Mm-hmm.
that's powerful. Leaders know when to shine and when to be dim, and it's for
Yep.
the sake of others. So it's the compassion, right? The compassion and the
It's,
empathy.
it's
Um.
grace. It's grace, it's compassion, it's love for others. And I think a
Mhm.
leader has to have that.
Right.
Not everyone has that, but and a leader can use it to make inspire. They step up and shine, and
Inspire
then they
and
step back.
empower.
There you
Hmm.
go. Inspire and
Hmm.
empower. And so a lot of times, I think Black women is we got to know how to kind of leverage it
Right.
and how to because people get intimidated very
Hmm.
fast. Because our lights stop busting, baby,
Hmm.
and
You
I don't know
unapologetic. I love it.
unapologetic. They don't know how to deal with it. It's yeah, because as in my career, that happened to me a lot. Is when you walk in the door, it's like people are, especially you in places that they don't think you should be.
Mm.
And because a lot of times we've been boxed. We don't even box ourselves, but we've already been boxed before we walk through the door. And so when we walk in, they're like, "Well, what you doing here? Who let you in?" And
Mm.
then they try to find something that's in their mindset. They try to find something about you, like, "Oh, she talks, she's aggressive, or she's this," because they already think that. So what you do one thing, and now you're disrespectful, or you're aggressive, or you're all of these things, but it lays inside of their head. It's not you. And so a lot of times we gotta let that roll off our back. Real talk.
You're making me think of a recent way I've been able to process and deal with the imposter syndrome and the dimming of the light and the thoughts around how it is that entrepreneurs and creatives and liberal artists, because I even have to take that into account. Like,
Yes. Mhm.
we are multi talented,
Yes.
and it's hard for singular talented people
Or
to
non-talented, because
yeah.
some of them ain't even singular, baby. But you being nice.
Listen, it's hard for them to understand that
Yeah.
space,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
that's the box, outside of the, I'm a woman or I'm black. The other box is just I'm multi-talented, multifaceted, many interests, and what's happening is that my work, while it, some folks might perceive it as all over the place, but
Yeah.
again, it's a beautiful merger of who I am and my purpose in this life, and it comes together. But the strength with me is that I do know when to say no. I know
Mm.
when to say this is enough. I know when I'm not doing that, or no, that
Mhm.
doesn't align with what I have in place and what I've scripted for myself, what I've written for myself. So that's where the balance and boundaries come in. Knowing your own capacity, working not to be overwhelmed.
Mm.
I'm incorporate, self care and
Yeah.
rest. Those are the things. This is my focus nowadays. It's not
Well,
even about work or
you're a strong leader. That's
yeah.
all strong. All of these things that boundaries, all of that. When to
Hmm.
dim, when to shine, all of these things come into who you are and who you're being. And it's a good thing. Don't make it bad. It's all good. And none of
Well,
us are good at it. We learn as we go,
mhm,
especially in America. They teach us every day,
mhm,
which they teach you every day, especially if you go into, like, thank God that you're more in your own business. But if you're going into the corporate spaces, or you're moving in a world that you don't control, that you don't have a lot of, control in that space,
mhm.
then every day you're being dumbed down, dimmed every day. And
Listen,
so, yeah,
even
and
as
it's
an entrepreneur in my work, it still happens. I'm in New Haven, Connecticut. This is a very interesting space in our geopolitical history in terms of,
mm,
in terms of first and model cities, and one of the the university here that produces our government leaders. It's here. This is here. New Haven. I'm learning today at this age.
wow.
um, the power, the influence, and the lesson that is mine as a result of being a Connecticuter. I've been trying to get out of here since I could walk, and I keep coming back, keep getting back here for one reason or another. Typically
One
outside
reason
of
or another.
myself when I come back. Um,
Wow.
but it's still, even moving in my own space with the
Mhm.
autonomy that I have. I still have to navigate this public space around me, this civic space around me.
Yep.
So it's
Yep.
no different, and in fact, it's probably worse because
Mm.
those controls that
Yeah.
are had when you're in their structures and systems, it's a little less. They're a
Yeah.
little less tight. They're a little
Yeah.
less binding. So
Binding.
you
Yeah.
really be clear and
That's a good word. Binding. Little less binding. And you drop like almost 6 syllables after 8 o'clock. Geopolitical. I'm like, wait a minute. You drop
well,
6 syllables.
the geography and the politics of the
I'm
place.
telling you, we're gonna need a job. You drop 6 syllables on it. I'm like, geopolitical.
The,
I know
the
you're educated, but slow down, sis. Slow down. Slow down.
we just
I
talking
need
about
you to
the
slow it down.
okay, all right. Reel me
Making
in.
me a
Reel
little
me in.
slow over here. I said
More
geopolitical. Okay.
questions
I'm,
because I get the rambling. You make a sister feel all comfortable and empowered.
well,
Like,
oh yeah, I want you to be uncomfortable. But I love that. But you dropped geopolitical after 8. I'm like, wait a minute, hold up now. That's a before 7 word. That's 6 syllables.
stop it,
But
stop it.
but, I'm feeling you. Well, you know what, Arden, you're civics, and so first of all, tell the people what civics are, because some folks don't know. So tell them what civics is.
So civics is in my educational philosophy, it is
Okay.
the fourth pillar of literacy. We have to
Mm,
read, write, and do math, but we also need to be civically literate. And that means we need to understand the function, operation of our government and our place in it. How does your local, state, and the federal government work?
yeah.
What is your place in it? What is the role of the officials in that government?
Hmm.
Um, and we need to be literate about that because it there's a civic literacy, and this came about because I learned in the early stages of Sage that less than 25% of our nation's eighth graders are literate in civics, right?
Mm,
And this is based on the national. It's called the Nation's Report Card, put out by the National Assessment of Education Progress,
mm,
and they give this test across the country at eighth grade, and then
hmm.
they don't actually the assessment is not required at 12th grade. Now,
Hmm.
while I'm not an advocate of a supporter of testing, as a
But
way
why
to
wouldn't they do it at the end when you go
when
into
when
the
you
world?
going into the world. Thank you. When you're
Not
going
when
into
you're going
the
into.
world,
I would take the 8th grade away and put it in 12th grade if you're going to
exactly.
do one time,
And
because
not
once
only
you're in 12th grade, you're on your way out. You
into
should
the
know.
world as a citizen. as what the mission statements across the country, the mission statements of public schools across the country,
Mm-hmm.
somehow in their language, if they haven't been changed. Last time I looked at this was probably about 5 years ago. But the mission statements of public school systems across the country talk about producing, productive citizens, responsible citizens, and engaged citizens.
Yeah.
Well, if you're not teaching civics, and you're not, because I taught under No Child Left Behind, where those subjects, history,
Mm-hmm.
civics, government, those things were removed from the curriculum in favor of math and science and testing in
Sure.
those subject areas.
Mm-hmm.
So so now we're at a crisis. All right, we're less than 25% of if that's what's happening in the 8th grade, you're not assessing it at 12th grade. You're either coming out still less than proficient or worse, just ignorant of it.
Well, you know what?
And
I would think fourth, eighth, and 12th. So
yes,
you can see
absolutely.
the movement of civics because policy shapes everything that you do. That's what we
Mm-hmm.
don't get. Policy
Yeah.
is everything. The reason why
Mm-hmm.
we so hemmed up in society is because of policy.
That's right.
Black people, and so if we don't understand the mechanisms of government and the application of, then why aren't we tested? But I know it's intentional. We live in a country that does a lot of intentional stuff, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm.
Let me be quiet
and
because
and then that ends up in 70% of us adults not
mm,
knowing the basics. And this is my own thing, just being in these civic spaces where I teach, children and adults alike.
hmm
Adults don't know the three branches of government and what their role and purpose and function is. And what
mm,
that's leading to is we're overly emotional
yeah,
in a space where there's no room for emotion. There's no
yeah,
room for emotion in politics,
yep.
period. And our white counterparts are not emotional when it comes to their money and their politics. They're not emotional people.
They're not emotional. They're very, very intentional. And you
Yes.
can say whatever you want. They might not like it, but as long as the policies is what they want, they all get in place and they know what they want. Even to
Mm-hmm.
the point where they vote against some of their own interests to get what they want.
Yes.
So, we have to look at it's so important. Like that's why I had to have you because I could just get an educator, but we need to talk about civics because it's so very important that we know where we live. Like we
Yeah.
don't know how this thing is working. And now we got Trumpy and Muskie.
Trumpy and Muskie.
Sis,
Look,
we got Trumpy and Muskie.
our ignorance and our over emotionalism is it, it's dangerous for us.
It
And
is.
my theory is that civic literacy is actually healing.
Mhm.
It's a way we can begin to heal, because I don't, you know, I understand that regardless of who's in office, Trump,
That's true.
uh,
It,
uh, Kamala, the
yeah.
hyena. She laughs
Ooh,
too much. She makes me. She laughs too much. There's some that she laughs too much for me.
while I'm laughing.
when she's talking. But
You do
somebody
laugh
in
a lot.
that level up, but leadership. So not to get, but it doesn't matter who's in office because
Mhm.
I know that I'm the people,
Yeah.
and I know that the political power is inherent in the people, and I
So
also
don't you
understand
think
that
that that makes it intentional? So let me ask you a question. I don't want to disturb, but I have to ask that. So don't you think that's intentional? Like, because if the people understood their power, then they wouldn't be so easily maligned, so easily
that's the
divided.
That's the
Okay.
point I'm making. That's the
Okay.
point I'm making. We also, and then I might have somebody come and say, well, were we the people at the time that the foundational documents were written? No, we weren't. But we could look at the amendments to determine when you became the people.
Mhm. 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 Mhm.
you
Mhm.
know,
Mhm.
so that's my place, and I understand that I have the right to petition my government against my grievances.
Mhm.
I understand that we have a right to change our form of government if we don't find it efficient,
Mhm.
to change
Mhm.
it in a way that we find expedient. This is
Mhm.
this is the this is the supreme law of the land, our Constitution.
No, they
And
don't
when
want you to know that.
you
They don't want no. They don't want you to know that. No,
and
no.
they don't want you to know that Trump understands it very well.
Come on, they understand what they're playing with. They wrote the
Yeah.
paper, so they know these
Mhm.
papers. Now the
So
question is, what are we going to know? So and you Sage Academy to young people. So what's your ages? Let's do, because I want to know
So
what's your ages?
Sage was built to take kindergarten through 12th grade. It
Oh,
was
all
built
ages.
it was built with the model in mind of, 1800s education, pre
Ooh,
1950s when public education came a thing. Prior to that, children were learning in a one-room classroom, all ages, if you was
mhm.
able to stay in that classroom for any extended amount of time, because really what you were learning was how to work your family's business. You so
Oh,
um
education was different.
education
Yeah.
was different. So
Hmm.
Sage sort of incorporates that. And what has happened organically is that I attracted middle school girls. So between the ages of, well, I started at 9. So when I was virtual in Philadelphia, when we founded Sage, I had a little a gang of 9-year-olds and a social studies language arts combo that was just they just gave me all the fields, and I prefer teaching high school and up. So this was, I don't have a choice but to teach these little people because two of them are mine. I have to teach them no matter what. So I was in
Yeah.
this space teaching the little people, but they're bright, and they learn quick, and they just want to share, and so it was actually surprisingly enjoyable for me.
Mm.
um I have so many things I'm trying to say and want to make sure we get out. I can't even
Oh,
keep
we
track
got
of the
time.
thoughts I'm trying to
We
tell
got
you, Queen. But
Don't keep time. Don't keep track. Let me keep track. You just talk.
yeah.
Just enjoy
So
yourself.
six right now. They're between my students are between nine I'm sorry, 6th and 8th grade, 6th and 7th grade. Sorry.
Okay, so you got
Um,
youngsters, 6 to 8.
Youngsters.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you got youngsters.
sixth to
Okay,
eighth grade. So
so
they're
when
11
when
and
you're
13.
teaching them, how do you start this civic education? Do you start raw like
Great
history,
question.
or yeah, or do you? So how do you? Because civics to young people, they say, "Oh, that's boring," because really they got to really tackle. They got to read. You got to understand. You got to comprehend. So how are you teaching them so they keep their interest? And how do you go about it?
So my civics curriculum begins with understanding your place, yourself first. It starts with actually grounded on the work of Naim Akbar. He
Mm-hmm.
was he may still be the chair or director of the I think National Black Association of Psychologists or something like that. And he wrote a
He
book
might
called
be. It might be someone else,
I
but I
know
think he,
this
he
was
was before. He was
Yep,
before, I know. Yeah.
and he wrote a book called the Community of Self. So
Mm.
the community itself is the foundation of my civic curriculum. So let's start
Oh,
with that to understand who you are. And then now you could begin to work on understanding and contributing and being a participant in your family, which is your
mhm.
first, civic engagement. And then your neighborhood, and then your community, and then your city or town, and then your state, and then so it moves with the child.
So
So
you
once they
build it
learn. Mhm. I build it out. Start with yourself, and now because now that's gonna empower you in your place in your family. Okay?
Yes.
So, and then understanding the family is really our first, it's the first business. It's the
Okay.
first, organization that we need to
Yep.
be able to work within and manage and,
Mm-hmm.
co-govern. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so from there, you can now start to figure out your place in your community, and that's the local government. So right
Yep.
now, in their middle school age, they're actually embarking on the Constitution and taking a deep dive into that and understanding um, the foundations of it.
Yeah.
Understanding with the Europeans leaving New Britain to come here to get away from tyranny and religious persecution and all those things, and ending up here and what that means. So, and
Yeah.
then the other key is understanding the students and who you're teaching. So
Yeah.
I'm very big about learning their learning styles and
Mhm.
what interests them more. And then so modifying instruction to make it understand, to make it palpable for the different students. So it's not
Mhm.
always reading. If I depending on who the child is, I got to find a video, or I got to find a
Mhm.
book, and we got to read aloud. And today they actually we discovered something. We were in the middle of a lesson that took us to a video. understanding the founding fathers, and we were looking at Benjamin Franklin and Roger Sherman
Yeah.
specifically because he was a representative out of Connecticut, where we're from. And I also say, like, there's so much to know in this civic space. So for right now, we just need to focus on where we live. We got to understand our geopolitical structure because this is
Yes.
where we're navigating. We got to understand how our government works. And then,
Yes.
myself as an educator, I can take that and I can go to Florida and teach according to what, Florida, because the books are different in different states.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
um, so they're engaged, and they'll tell you. I have one who tell you like this. I'm too young. This don't even matter to me right now. She's 11, brilliant. It hurts her to learn anything, but meanwhile, she's absorbing the quicker than anybody in the classroom, kind of thing. So
Wow.
you're miserable going through it, but then
Yeah.
you're the one that's putting all the pieces together and answering all the questions when we come back to follow up 2 days later.
Isn't that
um,
something?
yeah.
That's
So,
something. Yeah. So that's why you got to keep teaching kids. Don't listen to what they say. Just
oh,
keep
listen,
pouring.
I
Yeah.
listen, but I say I
Keep,
listen because you should
but
have
we
a
gonna
voice.
keep going.
But I'm gonna help you navigate what you think you know, and help you understand what you don't know and what you need to know. So
Ooh. Well,
yeah,
let me ask a question. I really like what you said about educating because what they say is, if one child can learn, all can learn. They all learn the same. Just put them in a room, and that is and that's I think that is the problem that we're having with education is that children learn differently. They're individuals, and when you put them in a room and you expect the system to apply to each one, each will finish at the same time, and so one finish early and then disturb the others, then that child is bad. No, that child is advanced, and we need to have something else for that
that,
child.
that's
And
right.
so, if we're not finding how our children is learning, then now we
Hmm.
already failed them.
That's right.
And so, I love that you're saying that one might do a video, one
Hmm.
might need, one might need you to do maybe bring some flashcards in.
Hmm.
Everybody learn. Some needs touch. Some
Hmm.
kids really need to touch something. They're very good at that. So I love that, and that's for smaller schools and schools that are, really your attention to detail is definitely. I love that, and that's how kids.
I'm grateful for the space I have for that. And I wouldn't my capacity, is 12 and 15 if folks are beating the door down. But outside of that, once I get to that, it's time for me to open up the next satellite. That's what I see for Sage. It's
Where are
intended
you
to.
in attendance? It's 12 to 15. Wow, that's amazing. So where are you
Yeah,
at
that's
with
my
the
maximum capacity. I'm actually, quite frankly, I'm down by at the end of this month. I'll be down to 3. Um,
okay.
so that's important to talk about as well. That the independence that I've sought to maintain that Sage is. We are tuition based. We're an independent private school that's funded, operated, and um, funded and operated through our members, through our enrollment. So,
Gotcha.
if
So you pay to play.
although I think you don't even pay to
Pay
play.
to play to get in Sage.
You understand that freedom ain't free, and you recognize education as an investment.
And I want to piggyback and say, listen, if you pay now, you don't pay later. I tell
Right.
folks, pay 1 through 12, because after 12 is way more expensive. Way, 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 way more expensive. So if you pay now, they'll be so
And if you pay
excel so
right, you
much.
won't be paying for 12. You
You
won't be
won't be
paying for
paying for
beyond
later.
12. You pay
That's
right.
what I'm saying.
You pay and play right now.
If you
You don't
pour
even have to
right
worry
now
about
and you give the child from 1 to 12
secondary.
everything they need and more, after 12, it's a free ride, baby. That's
Yeah.
that's what you want. And so that is
Hmm.
the best thing. And we got to look at what we're valuing education, because when you anything that you get free, you don't even value yourself. Just
That's
imagine.
right.
Just
Oh yeah.
imagine if something come
Hmm.
around you free, you almost abuse it. You
Yeah. Oh
don't
yeah.
really value until you're paying for it.
Until you're paying for it. And I don't want to be remiss and not acknowledge that economically, things are not always
Some people
easy for
can't.
everybody.
Yes.
So I think
Yes.
in that regard, though, I'm holding my community accountable, because this is where our cooperative economics and our communal support comes in. And I
That's
should
it.
have more folks donating and contributing to Save, so I can say yes to a family who can't.
That's
And
it.
and
We got
that's
a
the piece I want.
community dig into education and
Uh,
stop waiting on public school and waiting for everybody else to educate our children. If
that's
you if you can't afford it, then there should be scholarships. It should be the people who can't
right.
afford it be pouring back into. If we
That's
don't get this community thing going, then everything
yeah,
affects us.
that's
And so
right.
that's one of the biggest things too is some children, yes, families won't be able to afford it. We get that, but that's
Mm,
why we have a community. And until we
That's
build community, none of this works.
that's
None of
right.
it works. Because the
Hmm.
school is a community. These kids come in and they become a community. They know each other. They look for
Yeah.
each other. They are a small community. And if the adults and the people who are coming around them aren't building community, what are we doing?
Mm.
I just want to know what we're doing. And
Hmm.
so when I see
We're
Sage and
being
we're
comfortable. We're being complacent. That's what we're doing.
complacent
We're,
and we're waiting for someone else to save us and someone else to educate us and someone else to stimulate us until
mm,
it's so bad, then we all start talking about it. But we have to look at other, I'm into homeschooling, I'm into alternative, because really the system is not for people who don't fit.
right.
Alternative matters.
Hmm.
I just
Hmm.
wonder if I was in a school that really valued me being alternative. Where
Right.
would I be right now? I didn't find out my greatness till later, because for so long it was pissed on because I was the person who interrupt. I was the
Hmm.
talker because I was
Hmm.
finished quick.
Right. Hmm.
And little black girls get it easily pushed to the side.
Hmm.
And it's very important for us to look at education in a different way. We can plan out how to go to Disney World. We can
Hmm.
plan out how to get Jordans. We can plan out everything, but we don't plan out how to pay for education. We got to look
Right.
at that.
Our
I'm
priority.
really, because
That's right.
we spend at Disney World. That's a year at age. Leave me
Listen,
alone.
listen. I don't even want to go. Once you get there and you realize the facade that it is,
The
I
facade, and Walt Disney was the most prejudiced man on earth. This man was prejudiced times 70. And we're going in and throwing out money. Mickey Mouse and Minnie Mouse. Read the story. It was a caricature of
mm,
black people. Be careful.
uh,
Be
yeah, yeah.
careful what
That's
you
subliminal
show your
messaging.
children. Yes, and
Yeah.
we have to look at this. And so what I'm saying is we're planning Disney cruise and spending $7,000 to $8,000 per child.
Mm,
That's a year in homeschool.
yep. That's a year at Sage Academy.
That's what I'm saying. Send your
And I
child
have
to
parents who
something.
get it and ask me, well, why is the tuition so cheap? I've had a parent ask me that.
Wow.
But she get it. She gets it. She was a
She
homeschooling
gets it.
mom. She
Yep.
gets it. And I had to help her to get, because I need my people to be able to afford this.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And
Yes.
and I know that with inflation and cost of living
Mm-hmm.
it's going to rise. It's going to have to go up.
It
But
has to go.
get in where you fit in, so you could be grandfathered to yours.
I love it. So you can get the price that you had. You better go on in there and put your toes in, because then once you put your
You
toes
know?
in, your feet are fit. Put your toes in,
Mhm.
and we have to. And I'm really stressing this is we plan for everything, especially entertainment wise. And traumatized people always want to be entertained. I get it. I get we have a lot
That's
of trauma. I
ooh, yeah,
understand it. I'm
yeah.
her. I'm there. But we got to shake this off and plan for greatness. And greatness is something that stays. Entertainment, you got to continue entertaining. But if that education get in there, it manifests something great, baby.
It
So
does.
we got to,
And I think that's
yeah, it
also
does.
intentional. I think the it's funding here. I'm even noticing here in my quaint little city town in New Haven. As long as the influencers are entertaining, there's a great deal of support.
It's a great deal of support.
That support seems to shift though when you want to now educate people and do something beyond entertainment.
We have
So
to. We're losing
that's
our
where
children, sis.
our
We're
collective
losing our children. Yes.
we have to unite. We have to,
Yeah.
do be cooperative economically, and we have to support the institutions that are attempting to exist, like a Sage Academy. We have to understand the importance of building institutions. Our people, we put people on the pedestal, but we don't institutionalize anything. So that's why we don't have any longevity. Nothing's lasting,
Exactly.
you cut off the head, and now it's done, because we
It's done.
don't understand the power of institutionalization, building the institute, and building the leaders and building other leaders so that our institutions can continue to thrive no matter who's in place.
We need legacy. We need
Yes.
legacy institutions, and we can't build them if we don't have at least a structure of education and valuing it, and
Hmm.
valuing us teaching it. Not only having education, but it should come from you, the people in your community, the people that you have a cultural connection to. That's what education should be. Let me tell you something, and I'm saying that coming from an HBCU.
Cooperative learning model. Hmm.
Yes, I came from an HBCU, and it changed my life.
Hmm.
Literally, I tell anyone, if you have a Black child, push them, coerce them. That first BS, BA, whatever it is, go to HBCU. These are relationships. You're going to see things you've never seen.
Oh
You're
yeah.
going to have connectivity that you've never had. And
Hmm.
I've never been to another school that wasn't Black, so I'm not sure. But everyone I talked to who's gone to another, I forgot, WPI, what they call
Yeah, a
P,
PWI, the private white
Yeah,
institute.
I don't even know the PWI. They always say they did not get it. They did not get the relationships that they got at HBCU. It is very important, and we can do this in our own community. We have brought everything to everybody, even education. And we got to
Hmm.
do it today, right now. We got to
Hmm.
change our mindset. Nothing's wrong with public school. I'm not saying it's bad. I'm saying, though, there's other options.
That's
That's what
right.
I'm
That right. And if you're dissatisfied with it, and I agree, like as because I feel like I have to make it very clear that I'm not in competition with the public
saying. Yep,
school system
we're
here.
not.
I'm
Yeah.
very much an ally. I have constituents whose children are there. I have friends who are still teachers. So for the teacher
Yes.
and the student, there's changes that need to happen in the public school system to make it an ideal environment for both.
Yes.
But I just tell parents or my clients, if this is the route you have to go, you just make sure you stay involved. You be a very involved parent, advocating for your child, being present, and that's going to change your experience anyway. You know,
Anywhere. Yes,
um,
anywhere. I like that. But listen, I want you to tell folks your information because if they got some lay money, they can send it to Sage. And we got
that's
some
right.
people who got some cash, they can send it to Sage. So we can put it
Listen,
in
you
the
can go
chat.
to Sage Academy. The spelling is right there.com, and there is a become an angel button. There's a sponsor button. You could just drop your donations right in those people. Become an angel. You'll end up on Facebook with your little angel badge that we create once you drop some ducats into our account. Yeah, Sage
So where's the
Academy.
sageacademy.com?
Yes. Yep.
Okay, I'm putting it in the chat.
Academy.com.
Okay.
Um, there was something I was going to share something when we were talking about. Yeah, but this is rich. This is rich, and I'm glad. I'm thankful for this opportunity to have a platform to just sort of discuss these things.
It's
Um,
because we don't normally talk about it. A lot of times, we're so inundated, first of all, with trying to survive. That's just survival is a very selfish space. It's very
mm,
hard to look outside of it. And so that survival, a lot of times, is you're looking for things to keep you. So parents are looking for a place for their kids so they can make some money to feed them, to clothe them. I get it. And so school is set up, bus, public school, let's go. And there's nothing wrong with that. I'm not saying anything is wrong with that. But what I am saying is if we want to change what's going on with our young people and what's going on, even with ourselves, we got to look at how we're being educated.
mhm,
It is very important to understand how you're being educated. And we see a lot of kids are falling by the wayside. If
mhm.
you're not present, then you need to be, if you can't be there, then you need to be a place where you know your kid is safe. And not
Right,
just because the doors is open. You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of times the door's open and we're fine with it because other kids are there. But your kid isn't safe and not learning.
right,
So I just think that, and that's why I always have an alternative to schooling and to education, like Miss Lisa and Tasha and you and whoever else, because we have to keep knocking on this door that there's other options to educate young people, and we got to
right.
start looking at it.
Mhm,
we,
mhm.
we have to look at it. And so I think it's so important, especially as education is changing and it's more technology based. The
Right.
world is changing, it's more technology based. And then we look at how schools are more hybrid, that
Mhm.
you can really do some different
Curate
things with
an
your
experience. You can curate an experience that works for your learner.
The model
Absolutely.
is changing.
Mhm,
Yes. And
mhm.
so if you know your child is not being fed, then listen, let's get a plate.
Right. Sit down at the table. Sit
Let's get
down
a
at the
sit at the table. Let's get a different plate. And I'm really
yeah.
serious about that. I mean, I know I'm preaching, but I just really want us to really look at our because choices is was in front of you, but there's more choices behind those choices.
Mhm.
you know, you know what
Mhm.
I'm saying, sis? So the choices that in front of you, watch them choices because those are choices been there a while. They're systematic. Now
That's
go
right.
around those choices, and even if you can't, do you have a summer program? Let me.
You know
Do
what?
you do
I
anything in the
don't.
summer?
We haven't so far. Just with where things are now. This the year alone is enough. So
I know
um, adding summer programming is it's on the plan. I should say
it's
it's
a
on
lot.
the
I know it's a lot.
also, and we're actually doing because of the current um, status of funding and buy-in for Sage Academy. We're looking at some rebranding. So you'll probably be seeing some rebranding happening soon, just sort of niching down on that civic piece, but also providing on-demand classes. So I do
Yeah,
just want to put the plug out there to let my homeschool community know that Sage Academy it's been a long time coming, but I'm in the trenches every day actually teaching those who are enrolled. So the time that I need to just, to get, the curriculum that's in my mind or scattered somewhere on a paper or how it, in the way that it is, I want to organize it. And I don't want to just pop up, anybody could just throw up a video, what I mean? I still want what happens on demand to be engaging for the youth and for them to feel, interactive, because that too is part of what matters. If a child is learning on an online space,
yeah,
the issue with I remember what I was going to say about that HBCU thing. So let me just make a note real quick.
yeah. Make a
Um,
note. Make
yeah.
a note.
The issue with when COVID caused schools to close and children were home learning online, that wasn't the issue. The problem was because teachers weren't given enough time and resources to learn how to teach online. And I would venture to say that many of them probably, weren't 100% effective teaching in class. Classroom management is you have to have that down before you could try to implement a curriculum. So
It's
if
so
you were
true.
struggling there, you're definitely going to struggle on this online space. And there just wasn't enough time to train teachers on how to do that. And that is where that's where Sage's strength lied, because I took the time to research and find interactive, engaging platforms to use online. So I had a child who was crying, home on Zoom, crying, I don't want to do this anymore. But she started coming to my online class, and she didn't have a choice. You're in Connecticut, I'm in Philly. Like, this is what we're doing. This is what we got to do. So that worked. And
Yeah.
I'd be remiss not to, to mention, my husband who was 50% of Sage Academy, who, while
Okay.
in my mind, I knew about a school and brick and mortar. That's what the school was. But I have
Mhm.
this cool nerd techie who was meanwhile building, my virtual school. So it just worked. We have an online community, and I do invite, I invite people to join, where it's monitored, curated, protected by us, so it's a safe space. We tell the students, this is your Facebook, this your Instagram, this this your guy,
I like
here,
that.
parents
Yeah.
are the moderators, so it's a safe space for socialization. And in those community, like you said, education is supposed to be about the community and learn from your environment, the experts
Yes.
and the elders in your community. So,
Yes.
come on, join us, engage with their work, engage with, what they're doing, and give feedback and share that way. So, um,
Listen. I'm smiling. Let's get some of the chat because they busting over here.
the
So you
chat,
got
the
some.
chat going on.
Yeah, we got Mama Lisa. She was like that part.
Hey,
You got to shout out Mama Lisa.
Lisa, that
That's my
part.
girl right there. Mama Lisa got
Yes,
that word. And when
yes.
I
Put
said
your
put
toes
your toes
in.
in, your feet will
Your
fit.
feet.
Mama
I'm
Eula,
feeling it.
you
I'm
know
not
I love
right.
you. Yeah, that's my girl right there. That's Mama Eula. I love it. But she
Right.
said, I wanted to put this. She said, I'm just tuning in, but is there any efforts to stop the flow of public school dollars to the voucher program for the rich? Tens of millions of dollars are being funneled in the name of school choice.
Are there any efforts to stop the flow of public school dollars to
Hmm.
the voucher program? So I don't know about that. for certain. Let me just make sure. Let me see. Wait a minute. Hold on. To stop the flow of public funds to the voucher program for the
Yeah.
rich, tens of millions of dollars are being funneled in the name of school choice. Um,
That's more policy, right? Wouldn't that be
what
more
I
of
can
a
say is that what's no, they're not. In fact, homeschoolers and a $10,000 credit is actually being allocated now for homeschooling families. Um,
excellent?
so you can use that to attend private school, to homeschool. So that's what I know about what's happening in terms of the flow of public dollars.
Wait,
Um,
wait, is this every year, this 10,000 credit, or is that once?
it'll be I believe annual. I haven't looked into it, but I know it should be a new well credit, not a deduction, but a credit that has been allocated um uh for other options. So you can use it for, like you said, if you're a homeschooler, you can use it.
Yeah,
If you want to, attend the Sage Academy or some other private or independent school, you can use it for that. So I think that's favorable for us.
that is favorable,
That's
very
favorable.
favorable.
Yeah. See,
I
and that's
like
that
that.
awareness. That's that awareness.
Yeah, I love that question. She said the old shacks with black teachers turned out excellent students. You better
Did
know it.
they
They
not?
care.
That's yes,
They
they did, Monica. They sure did. Let me tell you, I said I'm riding on the shoulders of Mary McLeod Bethune, Ezra
mm,
Bridges, Charlotte Brown, uh, Crandall, a white woman here who opened. A white woman here in Connecticut was the one who opened the doors to black women here.
mm.
So yeah, and this is and Queen. I get people when I say I have a school. People really don't grasp. What do you mean, the after school program, or is it a
Yeah,
charter school?
they cannot
No,
even think.
no.
Yes, it's a private
And I'm
school.
like,
It's your
and it's
school.
nothing new. I'm not doing anything new. Like
Yeah,
this black women have opened schools before.
forever,
So
forever.
again,
Yes.
alternatives and options, and it's all right. The Constitution, your state your state might say something, but I know Connecticut's don't say very much other than that Yale has a fund that they have to keep funding every year for public school. That's all the Constitution in Connecticut say about education. It says nothing about how you have to how you have to school your child, and neither does the
Mm.
federal Constitution. So parents need to understand it's your expectation. It's
You also have
expected to
autonomy. You
educate
have
your child.
autonomy with your child's education if you
Yes.
really look at it. The
Yeah.
government does not want to get into that. They will let you go to public school and fund that, but you have autonomy to pick. And now they're thinking about they're giving credits. Listen, we got to do
Yeah.
better.
Thank you. Yes, homeschool children, they perform and excel. Even in the socialization piece is what
Yep.
kills me. About socialization. Homeschool children are more socialized than public school children. They could go in any environment and have a conversation with adults, other children. Sometimes maybe not. Some maybe
Because they're freer. They're,
the other.
they're, they're they're much more freer to communicate. But the schooling to I remember in public school, it's like you're in a box. And if you get out that box, you're getting reprimanded. You're going to
Mhm.
detention. You got to stay in this box and be quiet and do all of these things for the whole class. And there's nothing wrong with that. But socialization is so important. It's also important while you're learning too. And so being able to infuse that in a small environment helps children, especially black children, because I'm concerned about. I'm not concerned about hurting other kids, but I'm concerned about black children, and it's the truth. I am. She says a 12-year-old homeschool child will be attending Coppin University in the fall. No dude in college. That's what's up.
And that's
I,
because you are moving. I mean, you're moving. There's no. You're not bound by the standards in the
yeah.
seventh grade. You're moving because you're learning at almost lightning speed because you're learning all the time. Homeschool children
Yes.
are learning all the time. There's no situation that's not a teachable moment. We gotta make this recipe. We got more people coming for dinner. We gotta double it. What's going on here? That's math,
That's math.
practical,
That's
useful math.
percentages.
You know what I
Yes.
mean?
That's reading.
Yes.
Yes.
The dual
Wow.
enrollment piece. I love what's happening in the dual enrollment space. You enter those high school years and you
And you
can
do a little college.
and
Yeah.
go to college and start earning credits. And that is another way to reduce your college costs.
Yep.
So
You're right. You're right. And so listen, this is her your opportunity. You can put your dollars in a place that's going to help our community, our children. Please donate.
yes,
Go at least go and see what she does, and then you can be inspired. And I'm sure if you reach out to Arden, she will reach back. So please,
absolutely. And
Check
please,
out
we have like,
www.sageacademy.com.
yeah, and our newsletter. The site is actually it needs to be refurbished to to reflect where we are now. But so we have an annual newsletter that our students put together, and I would love to be
Mm,
able to just share that. So I'm not sure if the website currently will allow them to do that, but I know there's a contact button for me
okay,
to
good, good,
or
good.
something. You can
And they
email.
can and they can sponsor and put some money down. I love that because we got to do that. We got to fund our greatness. You want greatness to come out your community? Fund it.
That's
And
right.
I don't like to compare to other communities because the other communities don't have the path of Black children or Black people. So I don't like to compare to other people. But if you look at other communities, like a small community, like the Jewish community, how they do their schooling, like they do their own schools.
That's right. They're educating themselves. They're
Yes, they
feeding
have a
themselves.
little more money. Less
They
they have,
own
but
they own the
they built
property.
community. Exactly. If you build community, you can do the same thing. They're not special. It's just
Right.
that we're not building community in a total sense. We build community in our little family. We live
Right.
kind of selfishly, but if we build community with the whole block, then move it out to the whole west side, to the whole east side, you will
Mhm.
see changes because then you will have expectations. You'll know what other children in other houses are doing. You have better expectations for your children. We can do that, but they
Yes.
don't go to other schools. Jewish kids go to Jewish
Right.
schools
That's right.
and learn
Mhm.
Hebrew.
Yes.
Yes,
They learn in their
and learn
language. That's
language.
yeah.
Exactly.
And
So
that's another conversation in and of itself because you
that
can't
as a people ain't a people unless they have a language.
that's right. And
So
and they ain't even
we gotta look at that. It's like we're just here existing, but we gotta really look at legacy and what are we gonna leave for our children. And so I think it's so important for other options. And I want you guys to really think about it because we having children. That's what we're doing. We're
right.
having children and then adults too. Like me, my civic literacy, I gotta start reading a little more about civics because I don't like politics. But politics is civics and it is policy. The
Mhm.
reason why we are suffering in this country starts in policy.
Right. Right. Mhm. And it's just
Am I
engagement.
wrong with that?
No, every day, everything we do is civic engagement. We're just not even
Everything.
aware that we're engaging. Commerce,
Yeah.
doing business every day is civic engagement. If you're
Yeah.
volunteering, you're engaging civically. If you are just calling your representative, or writing an op-ed to a newspaper, all of these are civic actions. So we
Mhm.
just need to be aware about, like you said, policy. What are
Yep.
they? Are they in our favor? Are they not in our favor?
Yep.
Who do I communicate with when I need support? Um, you know, yeah, yeah. There's just so
That's a
much.
lot. There's so much. So I have to ask you that. You're a civics lady, and that's your thing. That's the basis of what you do. So what do you think about the kind of climate we are in America today when it comes to, what's going on, politics? We have a new president, a new old president, and now we have policymakers that are businessmen.
Mhm.
They're billionaires. They're people who've never really suffered. So how do you feel about the climate of what's going on per se?
I answered it initially earlier a little bit when I said I feel that it's our ignorance,
Mm,
that our ignorance and our emotionalism.
mm,
And ignorance is not, it's not a negative word. It just means to be unaware. So our
yes.
civic illiteracy is what keeps us uncomfortable in this current climate. And I'll
Mm,
just reiterate, and my with my awareness, it doesn't matter who's in office.
mm.
It doesn't matter who's in office.
You
And
better say.
these businessmen are operating this corporation that the United States is like a
Yeah,
business. And it is a business.
they are.
Um, but there's also some fundamental. Trump is not doing anything outside of what the Constitution allows him to do.
That's true.
He's operating well within the rules and well within the rules of this country.
Yeah.
The Constitution or the preamble. Let's say the preamble is the mission statement for the country.
Okay.
So for these businessmen, that's what they're operating on. And
You're
I
right.
think the more we understand the roles of each of the offices, or
It's
each of the
nothing really to be
branches,
scared of.
the
Yeah,
branches of government. Yeah,
yeah, it's
there's
nothing to be
nothing to be
scared of.
afraid of.
Yeah,
There's
because they
nothing.
got to work within a realm of structure. And so, because a lot of people say, well, felon can be president, but look, anybody
It,
can be president.
that's right.
It's nothing, it's not on the book saying a felon can't be president. It doesn't say
No,
that.
but all it
Or
takes to be a president is to be a you have to live here for
over
14
18.
years, be
Yep.
35 or older,
Ooh,
and a citizen. A
hard
citizen
to
of the United States, have resided here for 14 years and be 35 or older. That's the criteria to be president. It don't
there you
even talk
go.
about your education level.
There you we see they don't want to be smart. Oh, we
Like,
clear about that.
you
Oh, we
know,
clear you don't have to be intelligent. Yeah, we clear about that. So wow. And that tells you that there is a very low bar. I'm talking about a very low bar, but what makes the bar
I don't think
high
the
is
man is stupid as people think he is.
no, I don't think he's stupid. No, 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 no. I don't think Trump is dumb. I think that's the worst thing we think is that he is not intelligent because he's not
Hmm.
unintelligent. Trust me, he isn't.
Right.
And he's very good at marketing and systematic movements. He's very good at what he does, and that's why he excels. And
Right.
people take him for granted, like he don't know what he's doing. He knows exactly what he's doing. They're doing
Yeah.
exactly
So I'm
what they
just saying
wanted.
the criteria are three. It's enumerated in the Constitution, and then the job description for him is in Article 1. That's his job
Yep,
description.
and
That's
that's
the
it.
executive branch and what his roles and powers are.
Yep,
And the legislative branch, Article 2, if we under there's certain power, he doesn't the legislative branch has more power than the president's role. Okay,
that's
things
it.
have to
They
go
write.
through
They
the
write the checks.
branch.
Yeah, the
No,
legislative branch.
they vote on the policies and decisions.
Yeah, they're the ones.
He
That's what I'm saying. They make everything happen.
he can do is during those 100 days with those executive orders that where he's speaking to his cabinet. He's coming
Yes.
in, setting the tone as the leader of that branch at the time, telling his employees what need to be done for us to move to do the job as is written.
Yeah.
Okay, so with any boss, we might agree or disagree. We may
That's
not
why
like the
he's signing so many. So that's what he's doing. He's showing like this is what I want done.
Mhm.
Because it's
And
just an order. It's
federal
not.
that's
Yes,
not it's not that's to the people, that's to his employees at that base at that point. So
that's to his
again,
cabinet.
we
That's
just
his
have to,
employee. Yeah.
right. So
Right.
we just
Okay.
we just need to understand, look at your look at the legislators, where they
Hmm.
stand on issues, how they're voting. It's not many of these choices are not the president's. And if you have an issue with this, why we have to start at the local level. And the voting, even that piece, wherever, when up we're about voting, your vote matters on the local level because it's there. We're in a representative government where the state level representatives are those who are going to vote for you on the federal level. So who's in place on that local level that has your best interest at hand?
Yeah.
So we got to get involved on the local level. That's where the power lies. The people are in the states.
Yep.
So case in point, if he dismantles the education department, that is the
Yeah.
federal Department of Education. All that means is that now the states are responsible for what happens with education.
You're still going to
Why?
school. You still
Why?
gonna have teachers. All of the
What
stuff
to
we
do with
have, you
your
still gonna have.
money, your curriculum? It now becomes each state's responsibility and
Yeah.
decision making position. And
Yep.
why we in uproar when everybody complaining and saying that the system is shit anyway? So, what is your state doing? Go to your state level superintendent, your governor, and that is where you advocate for what you need in your education department. And then once
Absolutely.
again, when we're whoever controls the purse string controls the operation. So when you too dependent on funds that ain't your own, then that's when you worried about what they're doing with the money and the policies around them.
That's it. That's it. So Secretary of State is very important. And so you're right. What you just said changes the whole game because a lot of times we see what's on television or we see what they're put all this propaganda and everybody's afraid. Like I see us working, we're contorting ourselves over DEI that never helped us anyway. that
Right.
we were the last one on the totem pole to get
Fifth or
anything.
seventh on the list to get, and look at the company who it don't matter DEI in place or not. What is
Oh,
that business? You know what I mean? Are they still selling? How are they treating their employees? What just look at the
thank you,
company's practices.
thank
My
you.
thing with these laws are the law just it doesn't change your heart. You got a law to say that now you could be nice to black people. That's not doing
There's no
nothing
such thing.
right.
Yes. There's no
You
such
know,
thing. And I think we have to think more progressive. Like we're worrying about boycotting Target and all these places, but we have no other institution. So we boycott Target to go to Walmart, to go to Walgreens. We own none of these.
we
So
should
we
have been
bought
boycotting these local. Let me tell you, where there was there was a little beauty supply store right in my local neighborhood that
mm,
I really, for years, I wished I had the wherewithal and power and momentum and energy to
to get
boycott
rid of.
that store. Boycotting this Asian owned store that is making literally millions off
Mm,
of this community that it was a black community selling this synthetic toxic hair and,
yes.
and products to you.
Yes.
You got the foreign owned liquor stores in the neighborhoods.
We won't
You
boycott none of
supposed
that.
to with
Oh, we're
the
not boycotting that. The grocery store that's
Mexican
selling old meat. We ain't
promoting.
boycotting.
We're
Yeah.
not promote like these are the things to boycott. What's happening in your local community and how is it impacting you? Because there's a town not about 45 minutes from where I live called Newtown. There's not even a McDonald's in that town. You ride in hours on in to get to not hours, but there's not a pack of store on every corner.
Yeah.
There's no McDonald's in that town.
That's what I'm
So
talking
these are people who they pay higher taxes.
about. Yeah.
They manicure their lawns. They take pride in ownership, and they're controlling their environment. And you
Yes.
can't go in and be a foreign a foreign entity putting something that doesn't have wholesome benefit
For the
as a
community. If you're
service
not
in
gonna
that.
benefit the community in some way, you can't be there.
Right.
I've said that to us all the time as we look to do these things nationwide, but our problems are right in our community. The carry out is not owned by us. The
Right.
beauty supply is not owned by us. The liquor store is not.
That's what you
Those are the folks
should
that we need to leave
boycott.
alone. Thank you.
Absolutely.
And we're not looking at they're bringing hair that's toxic on black women got fibroids and all of these issues because they're using toxic material from these Asian stores. We got to look at our behaviors and stop jumping on the bandwagon and doing this national stuff. What's going on in your community? That's what we
Hmm.
need to work. It's these grocery stores, food deserts.
Hmm.
You need to, if you live in a food desert, you need to be fighting. You need to be walking the street. You got to have some fresh food there. So we gotta kind of rechannel our mind and use our power in different ways. What do you
Right.
think about that?
I agree. It's we do. We need to just refocus. I think just
Yeah.
a lot of time and energy was spent. It's just spent in again, and I'm just not sure what that did for us. Let me
And we're
say,
still
mental
doing it.
brain
They're
is
like,
real.
you gotta
Yeah.
boycott this one. I think we're wasting our time. And for DEI to help white women, what ain't Neil, let them protest. I mean, and I don't have no problem, but DEI didn't help black people. And if it did, we were 7 to 8 on the list. Trust me, everybody else before us. So we got to be careful about how we contort ourselves into their acronyms: DEI, BBI, FBI, UBI, whatever I it is. I mean,
Alphabet
I'm
soup.
serious. Yeah.
Mhm.
So we got to
Yeah.
watch out that. So we're an hour in. I don't want to, definitely don't want to hold you, but I'm telling you, this has been a great conversation. Ah, great conversation because I never talk civics, never, ever, ever.
Oh,
And so,
nice. Nice.
yeah, yeah. So I just really appreciate.
I'm glad I got to talk about it a little bit.
Yeah, yeah, I really appreciate what you do. So first, I want you to, before you leave, tell us a little bit of how do you, when it comes to civics, is that you're teaching everything, but it's very civic motivated or minded. How?
So I like to consider us a civic preparatory school where, like I said, that's the foundation of the curriculum.
Okay.
We're transdisciplinary, so project
Mm,
based in terms of assessment and learning. All of the core areas are taught.
okay.
I do. I'm doing everything now because the enrollment is low and we basically can't afford to hire every teacher. So I mean the other subject areas, because I typically contract out science, math, and the arts. So
Mm,
the arts, civics, or so SAGE stands for science, arts, history, government, and economics. That's what SAGE stands for.
mm,
So the arts is extremely important as well. Another area that was removed from, curriculums after, through
yes.
No Child Left Behind policy. Um, but it's a foundation for increased academic performance. It's another intelligence that we need to make sure children have access to. So those teachers are usually contracted out, and then I focus on the civics and the language arts. So my first degree was an English major, English teacher when I was in the
Okay.
public school system, um, and that too is the foundation, like I said, of literacy, of civics. Just understanding, being able to just read the policies and um,
Comprehension.
yeah,
Yeah.
comprehension.
Yeah.
So again, it fits. It
It
fits.
fits. Oh, that is so. And what is sage? Because when I think of sage, that's
All
what
of
you
that.
use to clean up. So I
Play
love the name. I thought
it's
about that a minute. I'm like, is she playing on that name on
Yeah,
sage?
absolutely. I'm playing on the wisdom of the sage who builds wisdom and goes into silence and becomes that sage, the sage, the symbol of wisdom.
Yes.
Um,
Yes.
so there's a
It-
play on that. A Zen space. We like to look at the social emotional intelligence of our children. We have a very Zen space. Our children come in and shoes are off. They got a little comfy corner. If you are wearing shoes, not in that particular space. You can come in and you might see children lounging and in a desk. Maybe they chatty, but learning is going on.
Learning is
And
going on.
they're not bound by sitting in a desk in a row.
Yes.
Um, you know, you're not limited to 45 or 90 minutes of time to master something. We could take as long as we need to master it. It's
I
student
love
led.
that.
So
Unstructured but structured. I love it.
I like the students to determine the curriculum. Curriculum is what you teach. Pedagogy is how you teach it. So
Mhm.
I'm interested in what do you want to learn? What do we want to learn? What do we need to know? I follow Connecticut state standards to just sort of give me an idea of what, because they should be competitive. So a child
Yeah.
at Sage Academy can leave Sage and function, anywhere they go. So I look at, I use Connecticut standards and ITSTE, the international standards,
Okay.
for all of the subject areas, and that just makes sure that they're abreast of what they need to know. And once again,
Sure.
it's a guide to make sure, are they here? Because let's say they transferred to Maryland, where in Connecticut it's one of the most lenient states for homeschooling, but in Maryland, I know you all have the annual evaluations.
Yeah.
So
That's what I was
yeah,
wondering. Do they evaluate? Do they test?
not in,
Test? Do they
not,
have?
not, not in Connecticut. So, but
Mhm.
my part of my educational philosophy is that if I have a child who's going to transfer to Maryland, they can fall right into that, because while I don't believe in testing, I'm teaching them test taking strategies, because it's not the content. The content is exposure. You have to be exposed to as much as you possibly can. So that's
Yeah.
reading. That's what are you watching?
Knowing how to
Time
test.
on technology. You need lots and lots and lots of background knowledge to be familiar with everything, and you need to be,
Mhm.
aware of, just aware background information. Know a little bit about a lot. You need problem solving skills. Educators need to understand that critical thinking skills are um, they're what am I trying to say? Critical thinking skills
Mhm.
they change, they shift according to what subject you're in. The critical
Yeah.
thinking skills needed for science are different from those needed for social studies.
So true.
How you think about social studies is different the way you're going to think about language arts. So those are things. It's embedded in the hows and what are they going to need. And test taking skills, the skills is how you pass the test. It's not the content.
So you need to know how to test. I
You got
love that.
You gotta know how
Love
to test.
that.
So they don't test. There's no grading. It's project based. We got a little scholar dollar system.
Okay.
You're doing just to keep you motivated where you need to, and that ends up resulting in, at the end of our first trimester, the scholar dollars ended up being a part of our culminating project, which had to do with them learning about the four different types of economy. So they were learning about supply and demand. One of those end projects was basically an auction where they used their scholar dollars. naturally the person with the most scholar dollars was going to be able to get the high ticket item,
Yeah.
auction item, because they had
Yeah.
the most. So it
Yeah.
it, it kills multiple, stones. We covered many areas with one stone through just projects like that.
Oh wow, that's a great. Oh my goodness. They work hard to get all the dollars so they can getting something during the auction.
Get
That's
some
what's
merch.
up.
You can get some merch at the end. So we
Get
don't know
some
how we're
work.
going to handle this quarter, but that was in the first quarter because it coincided with our project there, learning the economy, supply and demand. We have an
Mhm.
auction, and it just fit where it was equitable, in that the student with the most scholar dollars would earn the merch in most demand.
Yes,
um,
yes, yes, yes. And
so,
also, we tend to be consumers as Black people.
uh,
We're definitely consumers. And
right,
so learning that early, then you understand how important it is to pro quota dollar and to keep it and to apply it. So I really like that. I really like that.
yeah.
Who's that inside of you in my interview? Who's that?
Listen, that's Belito Garcia. That is the electronic side of Sage over here trying to help me keep my
Oh, that's the tech person, Mr.
remember.
Tech.
That's our tech person. He's over here working, but I'm over here struggling to remember what I want to say, because menopause brain is real, y'all. That
Oh,
needs to be
baby.
a different conversation. This
Ma-
menopause thing, I can't remember my name.
It
So
changes your DNA, baby. It changes the DNA, baby. You
he was trying to help you remember that all our students are entrepreneurs or come from families of entrepreneurs. So
really?
yeah, this unit, this quarter, our project is actually the lean business model. They're leaning right into that, and they're building their business alongside that model. So all of them are in different stages, but we're giving them a model within to process, their businesses. And that's a in that you have to read, you have to do math, you have to interact and engage, do your customer analysis and find your product market fit. So they're socializing, they're surveying, they're assessing their product and its viability, and and they're 11 and
I
12.
and I'm telling you, my first job was at 10. And then we're gonna leave it after this, but I gotta share this with you. Like my first entrepreneur, I've been a serial entrepreneur all my life. I've had so
Mm-hmm,
many businesses and I always worked. And then I've had businesses and even this is a business. But
mm-hmm,
at 10, I couldn't do it. I wanted to have my own money. So I wanted to be the paper girl.
uh-huh.
So I was the first Black little paper girl in my neighborhood.
Look at that.
Yes, at
Yeah.
10. And I
Uh-huh.
was so good at it that I would sell the paper and then they would come and get me and take me down to this is when papers were a big deal. And they would take me to the Post and Courier building and I could get all of these things because I was a top seller at 10.
Right.
I,
Yeah.
I was selling paper like dope, baby. And so, but my parents, real talk,
No,
real
that's
talk,
right.
I was selling
Some
paper
of
like
that knowledge.
pills.
It's all right. It was
Baby, I
information
was selling
knowledge.
paper like pills.
Listen,
And my
slaves got free reading the newspaper.
and my
You
mom
better
didn't know
read
how to
something.
deal.
People need to
You
read
better
something.
read something. And my parents didn't know how to deal with that type of child. They didn't know how, because if they had manifest that
That's what I was
early, then
saying. It's
I would have had a,
cool.
a business in high school. I would have had it not work for Wendy's. I would have worked for me because I've always done that. But because we are not learning early about, and our parents came from a very hard life. They were just workers. They were trying to get us educated. And so
Mm-hmm.
that was important in my house, getting the education. But if I had a school like a Sage that was showing me how to be an entrepreneur at 11, baby,
Right. Can you
I would
imagine?
have been amazing.
Can you
And
imagine?
so I just think that matters.
And that's one of the beauties of homeschooling families, and not even, you don't even have to be a homeschooler. Just be a parent that doesn't limit your child based on they too young, they don't understand.
That
we
part.
we put the limitations on children.
We sure do. We
And
sure do.
especially in this technological age, you you
Yep.
you have to let them
There's
have
no
their.
limit now. If you
It's,
limiting children, then you a problem
yeah.
because they have access to everything. We were looking for encyclopedias. Uh-uh.
Hmm.
They got the smartphone that goes everywhere.
I tell you what, though, Sage Academy got a set of encyclopedias in that classroom, though, and it better
Tell
be
them
one of the
encyclopedias.
resources you use. It better
Mm.
be one of the resources you tap. You could go to Google, you could do Chat GPT. I'm even teaching like ethical use of Chat GPT.
Yes.
Because they're
Get
going to
in
use
the
it,
book.
but
I
you have
love
to use
that.
it ethically. So, but there's a set of encyclopedias in our classroom. Yes, there
I
are.
love it. I love it because I had a set when I was a kid. That was where you got your information. You
Combining
know,
schools and modern skills, we bring learning out of schools. That's a Sage Academy jingle. I should have had it ready, so that could have been the
say that
out.
again. Say that
Combine
again.
ancient skills and modern tools, we bring learning out of schools. Sage Academy, making learning useful and fun. That's our
Look
jingle.
at you got a
Shout out
mantra.
to a little young Philly bull who actually Sunshine Jingles wrote the jingle, and the Mayor John out of Philadelphia put the music on it. So
Well, that's
yeah.
not, you should have had we should have that should have been the intro.
Okay,
Should
I should have it queued up, ready to go.
tell Mr. Techno we gotta have a talk. That should have been cute, bro. I know he's sitting over there. But listen, Arden, I just thank you so much for bringing your information. You're so transparent. Starting the school, the ancestors through this put this in you, and I'm so glad that you've manifested and you're continuing to educate. That's the
Mm,
most beautiful thing you could do. Educators are everything. I work at an after school program. I'm horrible. I am not no educator. I'm gonna tell you right now. But I love the
listen.
children. They need love. But that's not
Mhm.
my. I'm not an educator, and I'm honest about that. That's not. So I have so much respect because it's not just being able to teach something. It's being able to manage that little something and
That's it.
then 30 little somethings. See
Mhm.
that's the difference. They all got energy and they all got their own little whatever they want to do. And so
Oh,
you can't educate until
I
you at
can't do
least
that.
can manage,
I
huh?
can't. I couldn't do that. Trust me.
But I'm
I
just
would
saying most people cannot manage them. You have to first
not.
manage the class to
Right.
educate the class. So
Right.
that's an art. And an educator, baby, that
Mhm.
is an art. We educators make people.
Right.
They're make, yeah, that you definitely
We make
procreate
all
and
the
make
other
it.
professions. We make all the other professions.
That's it. And so
Mhm.
it's so important for you to have great educators. So listen, what you're doing is amazing. I hope one day I can come to New Haven and blow up in there and see what's going on and
Listen,
say and talk to the
absolutely.
children.
When I tell you the
I
next time
think,
we in your area, we coming through. Hopefully you'll
yeah,
be
I
in
gotta come
Baltimore.
on
Not
through. I
in
gotta come see what you're doing up here.
But yeah, yeah,
Yeah, I
yeah.
want to come in through and see and do a live with the kids and let their voices be heard. I'm gonna do that. Yeah,
Okay,
I definitely want to do that. Yeah, yeah,
good.
yeah. I'm gonna do that.
You would, for something like that, I'll bring back all those that had to go. I'll bring back the team and say you gotta,
Yeah, yeah,
and that's it.
we're gonna talk about that. I want to do that with Miss Lisa too. I want to kind of go because people think of homeschool and they don't know what it is. Sometimes you might want, sometimes you can't see if you what you want to be, so you need to
Right,
see it. And
right,
so we can go in and give these children a voice and see how brilliant they are and how comfortable they are in themselves because they're
right.
being learned at their own pace in a very loving environment. So I definitely want to see because I am a homeschool advocate. Don't let
Yes.
no, yeah,
Okay,
I'm
I
an
think you
advocate.
gotta bring me, Lisa, and Tasha on to be in one show though. Bring that on. Bring that on.
Oh, yeah, we need to do a homeschool roundtable.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay. That'll be
Oh,
fun.
you
I'm
done
here for
started something. We're gonna make that happen. By the time school open again, we're gonna do something for school.
it. Nice, nice.
Night, like August or July, something like that.
Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah, yeah.
Listen, when
Before
you call
school
anytime.
starts.
Hey, this was my favorite show. This was my favorite show. Look
Love that, love that.
Absolutely.
Listen, I appreciate you. I really do. You are
Right.
7 to 10. You have been a bright light in this space. Y'all, let me tell you, let me put it on the screen again because y'all better go on and find some sage. Get on in
Ah,
there and give these folks some cash. Check out what she's doing. Even if you want to emulate it, and yeah, even if she wants to do satellites at some point. So that's
mm,
something that you can talk about if you're an educator and you have the children and you have the space. Let's talk about spreading this thing,
right,
because the more that we connect in different places, the more united our community will be, our children will be. And so it's very important for us to at least seek the information. Go look, go to the website and check it out. That's all I'm
right.
saying. Check out Miss Arden Santana. Listen, thank you. I want you to leave a jewel for the people. Leave something, inspire us, leave something beautiful for the people. Leave your
I,
jewel.
I'm gonna repeat just something I've said before. Black people, we can't be so emotional, and we
Mm.
have to make the conscious choice not to be ignorant. Learn something, and that's just it. Knowledge equals it creates confidence. So when
Yeah.
we're emotional, when we're ignorant, so let's just be knowledgeable, and and let's be aware,
Yeah.
and we're in the information age. So there's so much, but just figure out what it is you need to know to feel empowered, to not feel fearful. Um, and that's just to be empowered. What do you
Yeah.
need to know to be empowered? And it's the information is at your fingertips.
It is.
Literally. Um, so I think that's
Literally.
just it. We can't continue being such an emotional people, because when there's emotion, there's no logic. And we make poor choices when we're emotional.
It's
Um,
an irrational space. It really
yeah,
is. Yeah.
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 So
Yeah. I love
that's
that.
that's
And they
that's,
said
that's
we're emotional people, and so that really definitely resonates because we're very emotional anyway, especially in
hmm
women, and then
hmm
women are emotional. So we got to look at kind of settling that down and really, really kind of get knowledgeable. I love that. The lady said, "Ladies, great conversation, informative. Looking forward to the next." I hear that. One love,
Thank
MF 1819. So you've had a lot of people in the chat, so that's a beautiful thing. And
you.
Sage Academy, listen. Onward we go. That's what we
Right.
do.
Thank you
Onward
so
we
much
go.
for sharing some time, for being, whoever listened in later now. Thank you so
Yeah,
much.
we
We got busy
appreciate everybody in the
time.
comments.
Taking
Yes,
this
we
time,
do.
Queen. Thank you again for having me.
Yep.
You know the
Still
number.
here.
You can call anytime.
Don't you go nowhere. You
I'm
stay
not
there.
going.
This is don't go nowhere. This has been 7 to 10. This is BlackWomen History Month Series. We're back on Wednesday. Tomorrow we have a Podmaster partner, the Dressed Up Dauphine, where this is a 35-year-old heroin addict who's changed his life, who is
Wow.
inspirational. He's sober. He has so much growth in him, and he wants to stop anyone from the path of drugs. And so he really is just a great young man. I want you guys to tap in with Brother Troy after night. It's a real talk show because when, he was a Dauphine, so his stories are off the hook. But how he brings them down around to inspire and the things he's thinking about, I want you guys to tap in 9 p.m. on every third Tuesday. Then we back in here Wednesday with the Senator Emeritus, Jill. We got Jill Parr. I was about to say Scott. Jill Carter. She's
Nice.
in here, the people's champion. So she'll be here. She'll be here on Wednesday at 8. She will be 8 of 10. We just had Arden Santana of Sage Academy, 7 to 10. She has graced us with her presence and dropped so many jewels. I want to say good night to everyone. We are out of here. Let's get them deuces, sis.
Hey.
Yeah, don't go nowhere. Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Outro. Don't go nowhere.